far as homecomings go, last Friday night could not have gone much better for the Tupelo Golden Wave as they came away with a 34-0 win against Madison Central to go to 8-0 overall, 4-0 in division play. Coach, congratulations on the win. It was one of the best crowds I have ever seen at Tupelo High School, and it was just a great performance in just about every phase of the game.
Yeah, I'm proud of all phases when it comes to community, school, football, anything. I think it was a proud moment for our city and our our community, and just it was great that we played well. I think you can definitely see we feed off each other, and you can feel the buzz. I mean, I think a lot of people are happy with the direction. I'm not just talking football program wise, but our school district.
Right.
And you got to play an opponent that is known to be a top program district-wise in the state, and to showcase how great our city and community is and our school district is. It was fun to get to do that Friday night in a jam-packed house.
You said a key word there, fun. You guys this year, it seems like you're having a lot of fun out on the field.
There's just time. That's what it is. That's what this. It's about the experience for these young men. It's about the experience for myself and our coaching staff and everybody involved. And nobody's going to remember. They're going to remember certain games. You remember every game that you play in and coach in, but they're not going to remember. They're going to remember the fun times and how. And we want that experience great for everybody because it's going to want more kids to play football.
Right.
It's going to want kids that are on the fence about playing it. It's going to create a buzz with the brand. It's going to grow. It's going to make people want to come watch you. It's going to want people to invest in it, and that's how it should be. When you're having fun and you're winning, and and still also doing the right thing off the field too. It's just a good mixture of everything, and it took a while to get there. There have been some ups and downs, and not every day is roses, but that's part of it. That's life.
Well, most days smell like roses. Right. Even a wilted rose smells good some days. Coach, the one big thing that really stands out is playing at home, outscoring. I think it's 159-0. Our opponent, 158-0.
And I wish they would have put that graphic out there. I was like, man, I didn't want to know that. I saw that. I kind of was looking. We have a board in our office, and it's shutouts, block punts, turnovers. I just kind of like to keep up with it. Points per game. And I was looking up there last week, and it was our 3 shutouts that we already had, and I was like, those are all home games. And obviously we play well at home. Defense plays well. Offense plays well at home. And just that's a pretty crazy score. Like I think I told you last week or the week before. I don't want to. There's some other stats out there that are, if you do statewide points given up, it's pretty alarming. I don't want to dabble into that. I want to keep playing one game at a time, because I'm trying to look at one game at a time, but also the big picture, and not fill our heads with rat poison. And so, but yeah, it's pretty awesome to see that, and I think it's a product of what our coaching staff has done and how hard our players have been working, and how bad they want it. We just got to keep the main thing, keep working, and play one game at a time. That's the biggest thing.
Would you say Friday night was the most complete game of the season?
I think it was one of them. I think, we did not play that smart sometimes in the first half. Penalties killed us first half. I think penalties killed us a lot. I think one thing that's been our Achilles heel this year is penalties and bad moments. I don't think Madison ever stopped us. I think we stopped ourselves. I mean, we could have scored, I don't say we could have scored 100, but it felt like we could have scored any time we wanted to.
Well, I really felt like it should at least been 35-0 at halftime.
Yeah, it should have been. That's what I felt. It should have been 35 or 40-0 at halftime. But it is what it is. I could have gone for 2 at the end to run that clock and get it over with, but I was going to be professional and just, hey, let's play a little bit longer, let the young guys play, and maybe enjoy it a little bit more. So, but it was, it was definitely a complete game. Offense, defense, special teams. Kind of reminded me of Oxford game a little bit. Those two games were eerily similar in some areas. But I think we probably played a little bit better this game than we did Oxford game because I felt like we could have run or passed anytime we wanted to.
You talked about playing some of the younger guys. You had a freshman running back that you got a lot of carries with. We were effective passing the ball, and we were definitely effective running the ball.
So this week we finished our 9th grade season undefeated. Kudos to Coach Jackson. They won their whole. I'm gonna stop right there. Kudos to Coach Graham, Coach Jackson. Our 7th, our 8th, our 9th grade, all undefeated this year. Won every one of their games, what you'd say their district division, with some alarming scores and stuff. And just tells you how bright the future is for our program. But after our 9th grade, we had moved up a running back. He's actually been practicing with us for about 2 weeks now. Just because when Dooley went out, we're like, look, we need some more running backs.
Right.
He's a kid that's got a bright future in the sport. So this week was the time for him to get on the field, and it was a good time to take advantage of an opportunity. Friday night, Quay falls on the football, gets his breath knocked out of him. I'm not going to say names, but one of our running backs was he wasn't right there by the coach, and Coach Ward saw Jaden, put him in there. So Jaden goes in there, and next thing you know, he's getting 5 yards a pop, 6 yards a pop, 8 yards a pop, and he's you saw a mixture of thunder and lightning Friday night. Quay played unreal. He played at a different speed Friday night, but when Jaden got in there, it was like, oh man, you got this kid going this, and then you got this this hammer coming downhill on us. So it felt really good to see that. Knowing this kid's a young kid and that he can play 6A football as a freshman.
Quarterback Jeremiah Harrell had another outstanding performance. I think he only had 2 incomplete passes on the night. A lot of different receivers he found. It was an impressive, balanced offensive attack.
It was a good chemistry up front. It was good chemistry everywhere. Offensive line, receivers, running backs. It was a team effort thing, man. And it just
total definition.
Well, it makes you just feel good as a coach, as a human being, period, because in the world we live in, and you see it every week. We live in that kind of a me society.
Right.
And the fact that those guys, you see the growth and the camaraderie amongst each other. They don't care who scores. They don't care as long as somebody's getting in the end zone and doing their part, and it just makes you feel really well because you could be a dangerous team if you got to cover. You got to worry about this kid, and that's what happened Friday night. And so, Jeremiah, fantastic game. He deserves all the credit, all the accomplishment that he's got. But he'll tell you too, he's one of the most humble people I know. He'll tell you right now. He said, "That was all because of my receivers and offensive line." That would come out of his mouth.
And then he was at work at 7 o'clock the next morning.
Exactly.
On a Saturday morning.
That's right.
Don't want to overstate this week's opponent. It's tomorrow. They're winless on the year, but they've got some athletes on that team.
Absolutely.
And it's a long trip to Jackson. So talk a little bit about tomorrow. What do you know about them, and what can we expect from them?
Well, this week's obviously a weird week. You got to go a 3.5-hour trip to play a football game to a winless team. It's their senior night. A team that's you got on the film and you look up like, man, that kid could play for us. That kid could play for us. That kid,
right.
They got 2 receivers I think that are just as good as anybody in our division, and the running back is just as good as any running back in our division. And so it's like, man, they got guys that they were beating Grenada in the second quarter 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were tied up with Oxford at one point in the first quarter, and they were tied up with Starkville at one point in the first or second quarter. just watching those films, it's like, man, if you give them momentum, they're a team that can play with you. They're just like any other team that's got some talent but lacks some other things. So it's always, there's some nervousness as a head coach and uneasiness just because what do kids look at?
Right.
They see 0-8.
Right.
They see, oh, they got whooped by this school or this school or this school, and you got to go 3.5 hours into a place that, you're going to get complacent once you get on that bus ride. And so my biggest thing for this week is worrying about us.
Right.
Especially
after 3 high-profile games.
Exactly.
Too.
Are we going to let this week make us take a step back for the future? Are we going to, hey, I'm happy, complacent? Like Mike Leach said after the game, what did he say? We got fat, happy, and lazy after their 2 wins. Same concept. And so are we going to let this make us take a step back? And so, I think this is another week just to turn up the notch and be more hard on them. Because it's football and sports are sports. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night. And you don't want to fall into that trap. Just want to take this as a fun learning experience of how we're going to handle this, because you never know. We might get in the playoffs and we have to take a 3.5-hour trip to go play for a second round game, third round game, North Half Championship. How are we going to handle that? Let's take that as an experience.
We hear the word or the phrase, this is a sandwich game, because if you win this game Friday night, then you're playing for all the marbles against Clinton. You win that game, you win the division. So how do you have to tell them not to look ahead to the Clinton game? Realistically, it's in the back of their mind.
Absolutely.
So is that what you're talking about being a little bit harder on them?
Yes.
So the focus is there?
Exactly. Like, just harp on the little things where, like, this past week and the week before, or the last 3 weeks, there are probably some things that I never had to address that seniors or leaders address, because they know, like, oh man, that's not how we practice, or that's, hey, we're getting out here. I could see ourselves at one point this week, those guys not really attacking that just because what this week is.
Right.
But they're 16, 17, 18-year-old
Right.
kids. They don't know.
We forget that sometimes.
And so we got to do a job as a staff, and I got to do a job as a staff at just being overly, I don't know what you say, a butt about it.
Right.
Just to, like, hey, that ain't what we are, like, I'm totally prepared to, be that guy this week.
Right.
And just so we don't, that we practice to our standard, that we do everything to our standard, that we get after it, and we don't take a step back.
Well, you always say it's about us, not about the opponent.
Exactly.
So here's a prime example. Well, Coach, before we go, it's fall.
Right.
Last week we talked about your, dress-up days and Halloween. Now let's talk about suits. It's suit time.
Oh gosh.
Now I know you're a big sandwich guy.
Yeah, I like it all.
But do you are you a suit guy? And if so, what's if you had your choice?
My mother-in-law makes this seafood chowder.
Ooh.
That is phenomenal. It is. It's got shrimp and crab in it. I mean, it's my number one. I think my wife makes really good chili and broccoli, cheesy broccoli soup. I mean, can I have 2 more hands to count all the soups? I think everybody in here loves any type of soup. What's yours?
I love chili.
I'm a chili. I like chili.
Give me
too.
chili. I love chili.
Are you corn chips or tortilla chips in the chili, or cracker, saltine?
I'm a cracker person.
Cracker saltine?
I'm a cracker. I have a friend that puts potato salad on the side of his chili, and I thought he was crazy, and I tried
bet
it.
it is.
It was fantastic. I'd never heard of that. He's from down in the coast area. He lives here in Tupelo now, but I was like, all right, I won't try anything like that.
I'm about to try that.
It was good. It was good.
It is getting chilly weather.
It is.
If you go by our house, it looks like a Halloween. The definition of a Halloween decoration. So
I'd be very disappointed otherwise.
we went hard this year with it.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot. Congrats on the 8-0 start. Looking to go 9-0. 7 o'clock kickoff at Murrah, and I don't even know where the football field is because it's not the high school.
So
right?
it's not this year. We're going to be playing at South Jackson Field, which is at Forest Hill High School.
Okay.
We were supposed to play at Hughes Field, but Hughes Field got condemned for this season, and so they're renovating it. So we're actually playing on the nicer Jackson Public School field.
Okay.
It's a turf field, big field house, nice stands, in a decent area. It's at Forest Hill High School. So if you need to know where to go, it's Forest Hill High School or South Jackson Field. That's where we're playing.
Awesome. Well, good luck. And if you can't go, goldenwaveathletics.com or Sunny 93.3. You can catch all of it. For Coach Ty Harden, I'm Greg Ellis. This is Gridiron Takes.